A sealed door holds a story no one alive has ever heard. We are about to explore 20 ancient chambers that archaeologists are absolutely forbidden to open, revealing why some doors must remain shut forever. By the end, you will understand the complex web of respect, danger, and wisdom that keeps our greatest historical secrets locked away. What unseen treasures or forgotten truths lie within a Chinese emperor's mercury-laden tomb? And why would a temple vault in India be guarded by royal decree and whispered curses? These are the spaces where curiosity meets its limit and history guards its final mysteries. What do you believe is the greater act of respect, to seek knowledge or to preserve a secret? The silent, grassy hill at the heart of the first emperor's sprawling necropolis is perhaps the most significant unopened door on Earth. Rising like a man-made mountain, this earthen pyramid is the final resting place of Qin Shi Huang, the ruler who first unified China over 2,200 years ago. While the surrounding pits have yielded the breathtaking terracotta army, the central tomb mound remains utterly untouched, a deliberate mystery preserved by the Chinese government. Ancient texts paint a fantastical picture of its interior, describing a miniature universe with ceilings set with pearls for stars, and vast, flowing rivers not of water, but of shimmering, toxic mercury. These accounts, long considered legend, gained startling credibility when modern soil tests around the mound revealed mercury concentrations hundreds of times higher than normal. This scientific finding transformed the ancient stories from myth into a serious, modern warning. The prohibition against excavation is not merely bureaucratic, it is a profound acknowledgement of both danger and respect. Experts agree that our current technology is a blunt instrument against such a delicate and hazardous time capsule. Attempting to breach the tomb could trigger the collapse of intricate, waterlogged structures, instantly reducing priceless artifacts to mud. Worse, it could release deadly mercury vapors that have been sealed for millennia, posing a risk to both researchers and the surrounding environment. This creates a fascinating dilemma for archaeology. Is the potential knowledge inside worth the certainty of destroying the very thing you seek to understand? The tomb of the first emperor stands as the ultimate test of our patience, reminding us that some secrets are not meant for our generation, but safeguarded for a future that may finally be wise enough to see them without causing them to vanish. The Valley of the Kings is a landscape of solved mysteries, its hills honeycombed with tombs that have given up their names and their treasures to the light. Yet in this most explored of ancient cemeteries, a profound silence still emanates from one particular wall. Deep within an already famous tomb, ground-penetrating radar has revealed a ghostly echo, an anomaly of empty space hidden directly behind a vibrantly painted scene of gods and judgment. Archaeologists believe this sealed void could be the lost crypt of a pharaoh from a dynasty so fractured and brief, its rulers were nearly erased from history. This isn't a forgotten chamber, but a deliberately ignored one. Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities has issued a clear mandate forbidding any physical breach. The reasoning is a masterclass in modern archaeological ethics. The painted wall that conceals the chamber is itself an irreplaceable masterpiece, a fragile skin of plaster and pigment that any attempt to break through would reduce to fragments. Furthermore, the hidden space could be structurally unstable, a collapse waiting to happen that could destroy both the unknown tomb and the known one that houses it. This is where we see the rise of a powerful new principle, non-invasive archaeology. Like a doctor using an MRI scan instead of exploratory surgery, researchers now employ radar, laser scanning, and muon detectors to map the secrets of the Earth. They can outline the void, estimate its size, and even guess at its contents, all while leaving the historical tissue perfectly intact. The Crypt of the Unknown Pharaoh teaches us that sometimes the most advanced tool an archaeologist can wield is restraint, preserving not just an artifact, but the very question it poses for a future that may have a gentler way of asking. Beneath the sun-drenched piazzas and bustling streets of Rome lies another silent city of the dead. This labyrinth of tunnels and chambers, known as the Catacombs, winds for hundreds of miles, a hidden echo of the ancient world. While many sections are open for careful visitation, there are entire wings, particularly within the Jewish catacombs and the earliest Christian burial sites, that have been sealed by authorities for generations. These are not merely closed for renovation, they are under a permanent quarantine, forbidden to protect them from us. The reason is a heartbreaking paradox of preservation. Inside these sealed chambers, the air is still, cool, and holds a precise level of humidity, a microclimate that has persisted for nearly 2,000 years. This environment has acted as a perfect time capsule, safeguarding breathtakingly fragile wall paintings of biblical scenes and delicate inscriptions carved into the soft tufa stone. Conservators describe these artworks as existing in a state of suspended animation, but one that is terminally fragile. The moment modern air, with its different temperature, pollutants, and humidity, floods in, a catastrophic chain reaction begins. The ancient plaster can crack and flake in minutes, and vibrant pigments that have survived empires can simply fade to dust before a researcher's eyes. Opening these doors would not be an act of discovery, but of irreversible erasure. This presents a core ethical conflict at the heart of cultural heritage. Does the academic desire to document and study outweigh the solemn duty to preserve? For the guardians of these sites, the answer is clear. The sanctity of these spaces as ancient memorials is paramount, and the best way to honor the communities that built them is to let them rest undisturbed in the delicate balance that has protected them for centuries. It is a powerful lesson that sometimes the most profound respect we can show history is to leave it in the dark. The same technology that maps hidden tombs in the Valley of the Kings has unveiled a modern mystery within the world's oldest and most famous wonder. High above the echoing Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid of Giza, muon radiography has detected a cavernous emptiness. This is not a small crack or a minor structural gap, but a colossal chamber, dubbed the Big Void, stretching for at least 100 feet and sealed away for over 4,500 years. It sits there, a silent question mark at the heart of a monument we thought we understood, yet touching it is an absolute impossibility. The reason is not fear of a curse, but a profound global covenant. The Great Pyramid is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a title that transforms it from an Egyptian treasure into a legacy belonging to all humanity. In this context, drilling a hole through its ancient, precisely fitted stones is not seen as exploration. It is legally and ethically classified as vandalism on a planetary scale. The pyramid's status as a global icon has become its own perfect, permanent seal. So what could this void possibly be? Theories range from the practical to the spectacular. Some engineers propose it is a long-sought construction relief chamber, a space designed by ancient architects to redistribute the immense weight of the pyramid away from the Grand Gallery below. Others whisper of a hidden, unfinished tomb, perhaps intended for the pharaoh Khufu himself, though that remains pure speculation. The most tantalizing possibility is that it holds something we have not even thought to imagine, a piece of architectural ingenuity lost to time. This creates a beautiful, frustrating standoff between human curiosity and human responsibility. We know the chamber is there, we can trace its outline with invisible particles from space, yet we may never physically enter it. The only key that will ever be deemed acceptable is a technology that does not yet exist, a method of seeing inside without making a single mark. The Big Void teaches us that some of history's greatest discoveries are no longer about what we find, but what we are wise enough to protect until we can find it without causing a single scar. While science and law protect the pyramids and catacombs, there are doors sealed by something far more intangible, a force that no radar can map and no court order can easily dismiss. In the heart of Tiruvananthapuram, India, the Sri Padmanabhaswamy Temple holds a living, breathing mystery. Among its several underground vaults known as Kallaras, one stands apart, Kallara B. This is not a chamber lost to time, but one deliberately and reverently kept from it, sealed by a combination of royal decree, religious injunction, and legends that chill the bone. Unlike the other vaults, which were opened under court supervision in the early 2000s to reveal a staggering fortune in gold, gems, and ancient artifacts, the door to Vault B has never been breached in living memory. Its physical description alone fuels the mystery, for the door reportedly has no visible bolts, no locks, no mechanical latches of any kind. It is a heavy stone slab, seemingly held in place by nothing but its own weight and the whispered faith of centuries. Folklore describes it as being under the guardianship of divine serpents, with a powerful curse promised to anyone who disturbs its sanctity. This is where modern jurisprudence met ancient belief head-on. When the discovery of unimaginable treasure in the other vaults sparked public curiosity and legal debate about opening the final chamber, the Supreme Court of India made a landmark decision. They ruled that the beliefs of the temple's trustees and the faithful must be respected, that the sanctity of this specific vow outweighed the impulse for inventory. The court essentially affirmed that some mysteries hold a cultural and spiritual value that transcends material assessment. Kallara B, therefore, represents a different kind of forbidden chamber, one locked not by toxic mercury or fragile plaster, but by the collective will of a living tradition. It asks us a profound question: where does the authority of history end and the right of ongoing faith begin? This chamber teaches us that not all barriers are physical, and that the most powerful seal of all can be a shared story, believed deeply enough to keep the world at bay. Deep within the jungles of the Yucatan, a natural well descends into absolute darkness. The sacred cenote at Chichen Itza is not a constructed tomb, but a gaping mouth in the earth, a sinkhole filled with deep, still water that the ancient Maya viewed as a portal to the underworld. For centuries, it has been known as a site of ceremonial offerings, where precious objects and, according to historical accounts from a different era, individuals were given to the gods. While dredging operations in the past recovered a wealth of gold, jade, and other artifacts from the murky bottom, the cenote holds a deeper secret that remains utterly off-limits. Researchers suspect that the main water-filled chamber is not the end of the story. Sonar readings hint at the possibility of underwater tunnels or side caverns branching off from the primary sinkhole, passageways that could lead to dry chambers untouched for 1,000 years. These potential spaces are the true sealed chambers of this site, and they will almost certainly remain that way. The prohibition here is twofold, rooted in both profound respect and immense practical danger. For contemporary Maya communities, the cenote is not a relic of a dead culture, but a living, sacred site. To intrusively explore its most secret recesses would be a profound spiritual violation, a disregard for the sovereignty and beliefs of the people whose ancestors built the city above it. This ethical boundary is reinforced by the extreme physical challenge. The water is deep, visibility is near zero, and the bottom is a thick, choking layer of centuries of accumulated silt. One wrong move by a diver could stir up a cloud that would destroy visibility for years, potentially burying fragile artifacts forever. This sealed cenote teaches us a vital, modern lesson in archaeology. It demonstrates that the most compelling reasons to leave a mystery untouched are not always about preserving fragile artifacts from air, but about preserving living culture from harm. The greatest discovery we can make here is not what lies in a hidden cavern, but the understanding that some portals should never be forced open out of respect for the voices of the present who still speak for the past. Rising from the plains of Osaka is a monument so immense it defies the very idea of secrecy, yet it guards the ultimate hidden space. The Daisen coffin is a colossal, keyhole-shaped earthwork, surrounded by triple moats and spanning nearly half a kilometer in length, making it one of the largest tombs on the planet by area. Traditionally held as the resting place of Emperor Nintoku from the 5th century, this grassy mound is the crown jewel of hundreds of similar coffins scattered across Japan. Its scale is visible from space, yet its interior is more inaccessible than any buried chamber in a desert valley. This is because the seal here is not one of danger or fragility, but of unbroken cultural continuity. The Imperial Household Agency, which manages all imperial properties, maintains a policy that is both simple and absolute. These coffins are not archaeological sites. They are private imperial memorials, sacred graves of ancestral emperors. To propose an excavation is not merely a scientific request. It is seen as a profound cultural transgression, a violation of the reverence owed to the lineal ancestors of the modern imperial family. This creates a fascinating standoff between historical curiosity and living tradition. Scholars can only wonder what lies within the undisturbed central stone chamber. The coffin period was an era of rich material culture with elaborate armor, gilt bronze horse trappings, and sophisticated iron weapons, all items likely placed alongside a ruler of such immense stature. The mound could hold the definitive artifacts that would rewrite our understanding of early Japanese state formation, trade, and technology. Yet, the national consensus prioritizes respect over revelation. The tomb is a powerful symbol of an unbroken line, and to break its seal would be to break a thread of continuity that has lasted for well over a millennium. This chamber, visible to all yet forbidden to enter, teaches us that some doors are closed not by what might physically escape them, but by what we collectively agree must be kept sacred within. It is a testament to the idea that a nation's history is not always something to be excavated, but can also be something to be honored through deliberate and enduring silence. Beneath the elegant boulevards of Paris lies a city of shadow and silence, a labyrinth where the boundary between curiosity and catastrophe is as thin as the crumbling stone overhead. While tourists walk a small, sanitized route through the Paris catacombs, this is merely a single lit corridor in a network of darkness stretching over 200 miles. The vast majority of these tunnels are permanently sealed, forbidden by law, and reinforced with concrete barriers. This is not a closure of cultural reverence, but one of stark, undeniable physical danger. The off-limits sections are a geological time bomb of unstable limestone, prone to sudden, silent collapses that can bury a passage in an instant. Within these sealed chambers, the walls are not bare rock, but composed of carefully stacked human remains, arrangements created centuries ago when the city's overflowing cemeteries were relocated underground. These ossuary walls, while historically significant, are now perilously fragile, their structural integrity compromised by time, humidity, and the shifting earth. The seal here is a direct response to tragedy born from the loss of explorers known as cataphiles who ventured too deep and never returned, becoming lost in the endless, pitch-black maze or meeting sudden structural failure. Their stories transformed the catacombs from a hidden playground into a recognized tomb. The French authorities do not lock these gates to hide history, but to prevent anyone from adding their own name to its silent registry. This forbidden network serves as the most practical counterpart to the philosophical seals we have seen. It reminds us that before we can ponder the ethics of discovery or the rights of the past, we must first acknowledge a simple, human truth. Some doors are closed because what lies beyond is not a mystery to be solved, but a precipice that offers no return. It is a sobering testament to the fact that the most ancient chambers can be perilously modern in their threats. Beneath the gilded domes and red brick walls of the Moscow Kremlin lies a legend that has tantalized treasure hunters and historians for centuries, a phantom chamber of unimaginable scholarly wealth. This is the fabled lost library of Ivan the Terrible, a collection said to contain priceless ancient manuscripts from Constantinople and Rome, scrolls that could rewrite our understanding of classical knowledge. Unlike a tomb sealed by toxic gas or fragile art, this chamber's greatest protector is not a curse, but the sheer, living weight of history and political power above it. For generations, the story has persisted that Ivan, a ruler of immense learning and profound paranoia, hid his most precious literary treasures in a secret vault or tunnel network deep below the fortress. The tantalizing clues have fueled countless searches, from amateur diggers to sanctioned surveys, with some modern geological scans even indicating anomalous hollows and voids beneath the ancient foundations. Yet these ghostly signatures on a radar screen are as close as anyone will ever get. The Kremlin is not a dormant archaeological site. It is the beating heart of a modern nation's government, a working fortress housing offices of state, ceremonial halls, and active security installations. This transforms the search from an academic pursuit into an impossible dilemma of geopolitics and preservation. To excavate would mean shutting down the core of Russian governance, compromising structural integrity of buildings that are themselves World Heritage monuments, and navigating a labyrinth of centuries-old foundations, modern utilities, and undisclosed fortifications. The prohibition here is absolute, enforced by the dual authorities of national security and monumental conservation. The library, whether myth or reality, has achieved a unique status, its potential location shielded not by sand or stone, but by the uninterrupted flow of history itself. It is a secret permanently locked away by the present, a reminder that some chambers remain closed not because we cannot find them, but because the world above them is too alive, too important, and too complex to ever pause for the dig. Within the ancient, echoing walls of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, one chamber is sealed by a covenant of faith. At the heart of the church stands the edicule, a small, ornate shrine built over what tradition holds as the tomb of Jesus. Inside this shrine lies the central mystery, a limestone shelf revered as the burial bench itself. For centuries, this rock has been completely encased in a protective shell of marble cladding, a physical seal placed there by generations of believers to prevent pilgrims from chipping away the sacred stone as relics. This marble covering is more than a shield, it is a permanent fixture, a boundary between the physical past and living devotion that is almost never crossed. The seal here is maintained not by a single government or scientific body, but by a fragile, centuries-old status quo among the multiple Christian denominations that share custody of the Church. Greek Orthodox, Armenian Apostolic, and Roman Catholic authorities, among others, jointly manage the space under a strict set of rules that have prevented conflict and, in doing so, have prevented any intrusive examination. This delicate balance of respect is the true lock on the chamber. In 2016, a rare and necessary restoration of the crumbling edicule offered a fleeting glimpse behind the seal. For the first time in centuries, the marble cladding was carefully removed for a period of just 60 hours. Scientists were permitted to perform non-invasive scans and take limited samples of the original limestone, confirming the shelf's continuity with the ancient bedrock of the site. Yet there was no full opening, no attempt to look behind or beneath the stone itself. The work was conducted with reverence under the watchful eyes of clergy from all the traditions, and the marble was swiftly replaced. This event underscores a profound truth about this sealed space. The prohibition is an active, living agreement, a collective decision that the spiritual significance and peaceful sharing of the site, are infinitely more valuable than any archaeological data that might be extracted. It stands as a powerful testament that some of the most enduring seals are forged not from fear of what is inside, but from a shared commitment to what the space represents for millions in the present. The tomb remains a focal point of pilgrimage and prayer, its deepest secret preserved not by stone alone, but by a fragile and beautiful human accord. The silent gaze of the Moai statues holds more than an ancient mystery. It guards a living boundary. On the remote slopes of Rano-Raraku, the volcanic quarry where the iconic stone giants were born, local Rapa Nui families speak in hushed tones of sealed caves and hidden grottos. These are not voids detected by radar, but spaces preserved through powerful oral tradition, said to contain sacred artifacts like the lost Rongorongo tablets or the original tools of the master carvers. For generations, knowledge of these chambers has been entrusted to specific elders, a cultural inheritance more binding than any lock. This creates a profound and modern ethical confrontation, the growing global movement for indigenous sovereignty over heritage. Here, the decision to forbid excavation is not an arbitrary one. It is a deliberate act of cultural protection. Elders may choose to keep a grotto sealed to safeguard spiritual knowledge deemed too powerful for the outside world, or to ensure that ancestral resting places remain undisturbed. This represents a fundamental shift in how we view archaeological authority. It challenges the old colonial model, where outside experts could arrive and claim the right to uncover any secret in the name of science. Now, the right to maintain a secret is being powerfully reclaimed. The potential chamber on Easter Island embodies a new principle in the field, that the community most connected to a site holds the ultimate key, and that key can just as rightly be turned to keep a door closed forever. It reinforces a humbling truth. Sometimes the greatest wisdom an archaeologist can possess is the understanding that they are not the sole guardians of history, and that some stories are meant to be told only within the family of the land itself. The vibrant, reconstructed columns of Knossos stand as a testament to one man's vision of a lost world. Sir Arthur Evans's early 20th century work brought the sprawling Minoan Palace complex to life, filling its courtyards with color and its walls with replicas of leaping dolphins and charging bulls. Yet beneath this famous, almost theatrical restoration lies a quieter, more profound legacy, a deliberate silence. During his excavations, Evans and later archaeologists identified lower strata, basement levels, and undisturbed foundation deposits that they consciously chose to leave in the ground, sealing them away with a remarkable forward-thinking decree. This was not an act of abandonment, but one of profound responsibility, a practice now central to modern archaeology, leaving a pristine legacy for future generations. The reasoning is beautifully pragmatic. Evans understood that his own methods, though advanced for his time, were crude. He saw archaeology as a destructive science, where the very act of digging erases the context it seeks to study, like turning the pages of a book only to have them crumble to dust in your hands. By sealing certain chambers and strata, he was effectively creating a time capsule of untouched archaeological context, a controlled sample of the past preserved in its exact original state. Imagine a future where technology allows us to scan the microscopic pollen in a sealed floor layer to reconstruct the exact climate of a Minoan spring, or to analyze the chemical residues in an unopened storage jar without ever breaking its seal. The untouched deposits at Knossos are a gift to those future scientists, holding answers to questions we have not even learned to ask yet. This philosophy transforms the locked chamber from a simple prohibition into an act of hope, a covenant across time. It acknowledges our own limitations and bets on the ingenuity of those who will come after us, ensuring that the final word on the Minoans is not written with our still imperfect tools, but is saved for a dialogue with the future. High in the mountains of Ethiopia, faith has carved a city from solid rock. The 11 monolithic churches of Lalibela, each chiseled downward into the living stone, stand as a breathtaking testament to devotion. Yet beneath their echoing sanctuaries, whispered tradition speaks of a deeper secret, a sealed royal crypt believed to lie under the church of Bayat Mariam or another of these sacred structures. This chamber is not a myth, but a protected reality, said to contain the revered relics of early Solomonic kings and priceless illuminated manuscripts from Christianity's first centuries in Africa. The seal here is absolute, maintained by the unwavering authority of the Ethiopian Orthodox Teotihuacan Church, which has been the guardian of these sites for nearly 1,000 years. For the Church, these are not archaeological curiosities, but living, breathing houses of worship and sacred repositories of a national spiritual identity. Their policy is clear: no invasive investigation is permitted. Any work done within the churches is solely for structural conservation, to ensure the stones continue to stand for future generations of pilgrims. This creates a fascinating dynamic where history is not a subject to be studied, but a living presence to be experienced and protected. The potential crypt and the treasures it may hold exist on a timeline dictated entirely by faith. Revelation, if it ever comes, will not be triggered by scholarly curiosity or a research grant, but by a profound internal decision within the religious institution itself. This chamber teaches us a powerful lesson about the different ways cultures steward their past. Here, history is not separate from daily life and worship, it is woven directly into it. The guardians believe they are preserving a continuum, ensuring that the spiritual legacy of their ancestors remains intact and powerful, not dissected and displayed. It is a reminder that some of the world's most profound historical archives are not managed by academics in lab coats, but by priests in robes for whom preservation is an act of devotion, and secrecy is a sacred duty passed down through countless generations of prayer. The grassy fields of Sutton who hold a secret within a secret, while the 1939 excavation of the Great Ship Burial revealed a king's treasure of unparalleled Anglo-Saxon craftsmanship, it did not empty the site of its mysteries. Scattered across the same Suffolk landscape are several smaller, undisturbed burial mounds, their grassy domes rising quietly under the English sky. These, too, are sealed chambers, but their closure stems from a uniquely modern and forward-thinking philosophy. After the monumental discovery, heritage authorities made a deliberate, strategic choice to leave a significant portion of the site completely untouched. This was not an act of neglect, but one of profound scientific investment. These unopened mounds are now officially designated an archaeological reserve, a protected time capsule held in trust for the future. Imagine the difference between reading a single, breathtaking page of a lost manuscript and having an entire, unopened chapter saved for later. The excavated ship burial gave us that first magnificent page, revealing the artistic and technological heights of a society once called the Dark Ages. But the sealed mounds represent the unread chapters, preserving a pristine context that the initial excavation, by necessity, had to disturb. The reasoning is brilliantly practical. Our ability to learn from the soil itself has advanced exponentially since the 1930s. Today, scientists can analyze microscopic pollen grains to reconstruct the exact season of a burial, detect trace metal residues to understand ancient craft workshops, or use ground-penetrating radar to map subterranean features without ever lifting a spade. The technologies of tomorrow, perhaps involving advanced three-dimensional imaging at the molecular level or non-destructive chemical analysis we cannot yet conceive, will be even more revealing. By preserving these mounds intact, curators are ensuring that future generations of archaeologists will have a pure, uncontaminated sample of the past to interrogate with tools we can only dream of. This transforms the idea of a sealed chamber from a passive prohibition into an active legacy. It is a statement of humility and hope, acknowledging that our current knowledge is incomplete and that the greatest discoveries at Sutton who may not belong to us at all, but to those who come after, armed with gentler, sharper eyes. This thoughtful seal reminds us that sometimes the most responsible act of discovery is to consciously decide not to discover something yet, safeguarding the question until the world is finally ready to hear its full answer. The sprawling palace complex of the Forbidden City is a monument to what is visible, to power displayed in vermilion walls and golden roofs. Yet beneath its stone courtyards lies a shadow counterpart, a whispered network of subterranean passages and sealed storerooms from the Ming and Qing dynasties. While visitors walk the same paths as emperors, they tread over a hidden world of escape tunnels intended for moments of crisis and vaults designed to safeguard imperial treasures. Today, only a fraction of these underground spaces is ever accessible to the public, with vast sections permanently locked away. The primary reason is not a lack of curiosity, but an overwhelming imperative of preservation. The Forbidden City is a UNESCO World Heritage Site of almost unimaginable scale and fragility, a wooden architectural masterpiece that requires constant, meticulous care. To embark on a major subterranean excavation beneath its foundations would be an act of tremendous risk. The vibrations from digging, the potential to disrupt ancient, unseen drainage systems, or the accidental weakening of load-bearing earth could have catastrophic consequences for the structures above. The guardians of this site face a clear hierarchy of value, where the integrity of the entire, magnificent palace must forever take precedence over the mysteries that may lie beneath its floors. This creates a fascinating archaeological reality, where some secrets remain buried simply because the known treasure they support is too great to ever jeopardize. The sealed vaults of the Forbidden City teach us that history is not always a linear path of discovery, but sometimes a careful balancing act. It asks us to consider what we are willing to leave unknown in order to protect the breathtaking story that is already gloriously in the light. The cliffs overlooking the Dead Sea hold a silence that speaks of both revelation and loss. In the Qumran region, where the famous Dead Sea Scrolls were found, the story is not just about the caves that were opened, but about one that was deliberately closed. After the initial discoveries, archaeological surveys continued, mapping the rugged terrain and identifying a potential location known as Cave 12. Unlike the other numbered caves, this one presents a different kind of mystery. It was never fully excavated, and today, its entrance is often deliberately obscured or sealed by authorities. This is not a case of ignoring history, but of defending it from a modern plague, the rampant, destructive trade in looted antiquities. The decision to seal a potential chamber here is a heartbreakingly pragmatic one. In the past, the rush to find scrolls led to chaotic digging by treasure hunters and looters who tore through delicate archaeological layers, destroying the context that gives a fragment its true meaning. A single piece of parchment in its original place can tell a story about the community that left it there, but that same fragment, ripped from the earth and sold on the black market, becomes a beautiful but orphaned object, its story forever severed. By proactively sealing a cave like Cave 12, heritage officials are making a profound statement. They are choosing to preserve the possibility of future knowledge over the certainty of present destruction. They turn the chamber into a protected asset, a cultural savings account left untouched until a time when it can be studied with the care it deserves, safe from the ravages of the market. This is archaeology shifting from a race for discovery to a strategy of stewardship, understanding that sometimes the greatest threat to the past is not time itself, but the unchecked greed of the present. Beneath the geometric perfection of Teotihuacan's Avenue of the Dead, the earth holds its breath. The Pyramid of the Moon and the Temple of the Feathered Serpent are not just monuments to be climbed, but colossal stone caps on a hidden underworld. Recent explorations have revealed astonishing tunnel systems snaking beneath their foundations, passages believed to be symbolic conduits to the realm of the ancestors. While some of these tunnels have been carefully mapped with robots and scanners, revealing offerings of startling beauty, there is strong evidence of terminal chambers, rooms at the very end of these sacred pathways that researchers have deliberately chosen to leave sealed. After initial probes confirmed their existence, these final spaces were often backfilled with earth and their entrances reinforced, a conscious act of resealing. The decision is one of profound structural respect. The pyramids are not solid rock, they are carefully engineered mountains of rubble, earth, and stone facing. Excavating a chamber at the very heart of this precarious balance could act like removing a keystone, potentially triggering shifts in the immense weight above. The risk is not hypothetical. A destabilized pyramid could slump or collapse, destroying not only the hidden chamber but the iconic structure that has defined the skyline for 2,000 years. For the archaeologists working here, the greatest treasure is not what might lie in a single sealed room, but the enduring presence of the pyramids themselves, standing sentinel over the silent city. This teaches us a humbling architectural truth. Sometimes the most important discovery is understanding the limits of our reach, and that preserving the question mark is the only way to ensure the monumental story continues to stand for centuries to come. A mountain decided to keep its own secret. While human hands have placed locks and laws on countless tombs, there are chambers where the final, unbreakable seal has been applied by the planet itself. Imagine a royal crypt carved into a sheer cliff face in a remote Himalayan kingdom, or a ceremonial complex perched on an Andean peak, a site known through ancient texts but lost to living memory. Then, one day, the earth shifts. A colossal earthquake rattles the foundations of the mountain, or a monsoon of unimaginable force triggers a landslide of biblical scale. When the dust settles, the entrance to that sacred space is no longer merely hidden. It is buried under hundreds of thousands of tons of rock and debris. The passage is not just blocked, it is rendered geometrically non-existent, erased from the landscape as if it never was. In this scenario, the prohibition is not a matter of ethics or policy, but of sheer, indifferent physics. The cost of clearance would be astronomical, requiring a mining operation of epic proportions in an often treacherous and inaccessible location. The danger would be constant, with the ever-present threat of further slides or aftershocks, making the work a potential death sentence for any crew. This changes our understanding of a sealed chamber completely. Here, the guardian is not a government, a priest, or a scientist, but the active, living geology of the earth. It adds a layer of poetic, almost humbling finality to the mystery. The mountain, in a single violent act, has reclaimed its own. It transforms the tomb from a historical artifact into a literal part of the landscape, a secret folded back into the very bones of the world. This natural seal reminds us that for all our technology and curiosity, we are still subject to forces that operate on a scale far beyond human ambition, forces that can, in a moment, make the past permanently, irrevocably distant. A single monk holds a key that has never been turned. Within the ancient church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Axum, Ethiopia, a separate, small chapel stands with quiet solemnity. According to a tradition that has burned brightly for centuries, this modest building houses history's most legendary artifact, the Ark of the Covenant. This is not a chamber sealed by toxic gas or unstable stone, but by a vow that transcends archaeology. The chapel is guarded by one monk, appointed for life, who is the sole human permitted to enter its sacred space. He is the living lock. Not even the patriarch of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, nor the most credentialed scholar from any nation, is allowed to cross that threshold and view what lies inside. The prohibition is absolute and personal, a sacred duty passed from one guardian to the next in an unbroken line. This creates a seal of an entirely different nature, one that exists purely in the realm of belief and cultural identity. For the faithful, the question of its authenticity is not a matter for scientific testing. It is an article of faith, a core part of the national narrative that traces the lineage of its emperors back to the biblical King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. The chapel, therefore, represents the ultimate diplomatic and spiritual impasse. It places a revered cultural mythos squarely outside the jurisdiction of empirical inquiry. An archaeologist cannot request a permit to study it because its guardians do not recognize the authority of such a request. The artifact is not considered an object of study but a living, divine presence. This chamber teaches us about the power of stories to shape reality itself. Whether one views the legend as literal truth or powerful metaphor is almost irrelevant to understanding the seal. The belief itself has constructed a barrier more formidable than any concrete wall, a boundary where science respectfully stops and tradition continues its eternal watch. It stands as a profound reminder that some of humanity's greatest mysteries are not puzzles to be solved, but sacred narratives to be honored. Their power derived not from what they might reveal, but from the unwavering faith that keeps them veiled. The final sealed chamber was not created by emperors or priests, but by scientists with a deep sense of humility. In projects around the world, contemporary archaeologists are now designing and sealing their own time capsules, deliberately creating chambers that are forbidden to open for 100 years or even 500. This is the ultimate evolution of the sealed chamber, transformed from a relic we cannot touch into a conscious legacy we are building for those who will come after us. Imagine a stabilized vault, perhaps beneath a museum or within a protected archaeological reserve. Inside, teams place a curated collection of our era's most telling artifacts, not gold or jewels, but the everyday objects that define our civilization. A common smartphone, samples of contemporary textiles, sealed vials of air and water, and detailed records on stable metal plates explaining the climate crisis, our social structures, and the unresolved questions of our time. The chamber is equipped with passive monitors to track temperature and humidity, and the entrance is sealed with a solemn public ceremony and a legally binding covenant that forbids opening until a specified future date. This act fundamentally reframes the idea of the forbidden door. It is no longer a barrier born of danger or dispute, but a bridge built with intention. It challenges our modern obsession with instant access and immediate answers, forcing us to admit that our own perspective is limited, that future tools and minds will have questions we cannot yet formulate. By creating a chamber we ourselves are forbidden to open, we perform a profound act of trust in the future. We acknowledge that we are not the conclusion of history, but merely a chapter in its long story, and we choose to leave a clear, preserved voice for that chapter in a language the future can understand. It turns the archaeologist from a seeker of secrets into a creator of them, gifting the ultimate mystery not to the past, but to the time that has yet to unfold. These 20 chambers, scattered across continents and centuries, are not simply a list of locked doors. Each seal represents a distinct philosophy, a specific reason why human curiosity has chosen or been forced to yield. When we step back, these individual stories coalesce into a clear framework, a modern code explaining why some doors must stay shut. The first and most fundamental reason is technological limitation. We simply cannot open them safely yet. The Mercury-laden tomb of the first emperor is the ultimate example, a chamber where our current tools are too blunt, too destructive. The risk is not just damaging artifacts, but triggering an environmental and historical catastrophe. This category is defined by patience, an acknowledgement that our generation's methods are insufficient, and that the true key lies in a future we hope will be wiser and more capable. Closely linked is the mandate of ethical preservation. Here, the question shifts from can we to should we. The fragile wall paintings in the Roman catacombs or the painted barrier in the Valley of the Kings present a heartbreaking truth. that the very act of discovery would be an act of irreversible erasure. The duty to preserve the known masterpiece forever outweighs the desire to uncover what might lie behind it. This is archaeology practicing restraint as its highest virtue. Then we encounter the powerful, growing force of cultural preservation and indigenous sovereignty. The sealed caves of Easter Island or the sacred cenote at Chichen Itza are not governed by outside academics, but by the living communities for whom these sites are not relics, but active parts of their spiritual and cultural identity. The prohibition here is a reclamation of authority, a statement that the right to maintain a secret is as valid as the right to uncover one. It recognizes that some stories are meant only for the ears of the descendants. A more immediate and physical barrier is pure practical safety. The unstable, collapsing tunnels of the Paris Catacombs or the landslide-buried Himalayan crypt represent chambers sealed by the indifferent laws of physics and geology. The danger here is not to artifacts but to human life. These spaces are forbidden not out of reverence for the past, but out of respect for the sanctity of the present, a stark reminder that some mysteries guard themselves with peril. Finally, we find the complex web of legal, political, and religious barriers. The Kremlin's potential library vault is shielded by the uninterrupted machinery of a modern state. The chapel in Axum is sealed by a vow that transcends secular law. The imperial tombs of Japan are protected by a living cultural continuity. These seals exist because the world above the chamber is too alive, too important, or too sacred to ever pause for an excavation. They remind us that history does not exist in a vacuum, but is constantly interpreted and managed by the powers and beliefs of the present. What becomes beautifully clear is how these reasons are almost never isolated. They intertwine, strengthen one another, creating a web of justification that makes the forbidden status both profoundly frustrating and utterly necessary. The Great Pyramid's big void is sealed by both technological caution and its legal status as a global heirloom. The Sri Padmanabhaswamy Vault is protected by both religious decree and a ruling from a Supreme Court. This intertwining is the essence of modern archaeology's philosophy. It is no longer a single-minded pursuit of objects, but a delicate balancing act between competing values, knowledge, respect, safety, and sovereignty. The sealed chamber, therefore, is not a symbol of failure but of maturity. It represents the moment we decided that some questions are more valuable than their answers, and that the greatest discovery of all might be learning when to walk away, leaving the door firmly closed behind us. These silent spaces, from the Mercury Mountains of China to the guarded chapels of Ethiopia, form a map not of discovery, but of restraint. Their power does not come from gold or manuscripts that might lie within, but from the profound weight of the questions they hold in perpetual suspension. This journey through 20 forbidden doors reveals that the greatest treasures are often the stories we consciously choose not to finish, the histories we agree to feel through their absence rather than dissect with our tools. They teach us a collective humility, forcing us to acknowledge the limits of our technology, the boundaries of our understanding, and the sovereign rights of living cultures to steward their own past. Each seal is a conversation between generations, a promise that some knowledge is patient, and some reverence is more valuable than revelation. Our relationship with the unknown is perhaps the ultimate mystery, a balance between an insatiable curiosity and the wisdom to know when that curiosity must yield to something greater, be it safety, sanctity, or simple respect for the fragile thread of time. So we are left not with answers, but with a deeper appreciation for the silence. Which of these sealed chambers captures your imagination the most? Does the thought of the first emperor's toxic universe intrigue you, or does the living vow of a single monk in Axum resonate more deeply? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us continue this exploration together. Thank you for venturing to the very edges of history, where the known world ends and wonder begins. For more journeys into the world's deepest mysteries, don't forget to subscribe.